What do you do with all the cucumbers that you've grown in your garden? Well, for me, I've juiced cucumbers, I've added to smoothies, I've made infused water with it, even added to my salads. But one of the things I enjoy most doing with these cucumbers, it's to pickle and can it up so I can have it, which is a method I use for preservation. First, I soak the cucumbers in cool water for about half hour. Now here I have in my cabinet some coriander, and the coriander, as you know, is the seeds of the cilantro herb when that plant goes to bolt. I also have here some dill, and these are all from my garden. Now I'm going to go grab some bay leaf, and this bay leaf I have here on my drying rack. I'm just going to grab a few leaves of that. I also grew that in my garden, harvested it, and it's here now drying so I can preserve it for use later on. Now I have my brine here going, and all that's in here is some sea salt, some water, some white distilled vinegar, and the herbs that I just showed you from my cabinet that I grew in my garden. Now while that simmered, I went out and grabbed some fresh grape leaves from my grapevines, and I have it here, washed it, and have it soaking in some cool water. I went out and grabbed a ripe jalapeno that I'm going to be putting in the jar to add a little kick to the pickles. Now first I'm going to place a grape leaf in the jar, and the reason for placing the grape leaf in there is because grape leaf naturally contain tannin, and tannins inhibit pectinase and cellulase enzymes, which would soften your pickles and cause it to become mushy. But instead you would want a nice crunchy pickle, and so you want to add that grape leaf so it would keep your pickles nice and crunchy. I then packed the spears tightly in a jar, and this jar is a quart-sized jar and just the perfect size for the type of pickling cucumbers that I'm working with. Now my pepper is already julienne, so I'm just going to stick a few pieces in here. And the good thing about adding all these things, different things into the jars, is that they're all edible. They're natural. They were all grown in my garden and can be safely consumed, even the grape leaf. Now I'm going to make sure I get this in there nice and tight and put as many spears as I can, so that way we don't have a whole lot of air in there. The less oxygen in there, the better. So I'm going to stick one more, I think, in here. See, there's still some room. So I'm going to push another one nice and tight. And this is how you want it. When you hold your jar upside down, that's just a little water dripping out. But you hold it upside down, you want to make sure it's nice and tight and nothing's falling out. There's the grape leaf and the peppers and the cucumber spears in here. All right, now it's brine time. So let's head on over to the brine so we can get these jars filled up, covered, and into the hot water bath canner. Now here I have my brine, and as you can see, I'm using a plastic ladle, and this is what you want to use with this mixture here because this mixture is acidic and you don't want to use any metal in it. So plastics or wood is just perfect. Now I'm going to use a debubbler and debubble these jars. Just a simple way to rid the jars of excess air pockets. Once that's complete, I grab my distilled vinegar and I use a paper towel and I clean the rims of the jars, making sure that there's no debris or anything that would compromise the safety of the food in the jar or compromise the jar from properly being sealed. You never want a false seal when canning. Now for every jar, I dip anew in the distilled vinegar before cleaning the rims, and that's because I don't want to remove something from one rim and put it on another rim just by not dipping it again. Some may say it's unnecessary, but it's just my method of doing it. I just rather to be safe as possible. Now I'm going to use the other end of the debubbler, which has a magnet, to remove the lids from the hot water bath canner and place it on the jars. Then secure the lids using the bands, and you want to fasten this just finger tight. You don't want to put it too tight because you don't want to create a false seal. Meanwhile, I increase the flame on the hot water bath canner so that the water is at a rolling boil when I'm ready to place the cans in the canner. I then use the jar lifter to place the cans in the canner, and I process this for the time allotted to completion. When the process is completed, I turn the flame off, I uncover the hot water bath canner, let it sit for about 5 minutes, and then I remove the cans from the canner. Sometimes I remove the bands right away because it's finger tight and I can literally spin it with my finger. And sometimes I just let the band sit. But there you have it, homegrown and homemade. Thanks for watching.